Another great new feature in After Effects CS4 is the Composition Navigator. It provides a new way for you to search through a hierarchy of comps. Now by hierarchy, I mean when you have one comp nested into another comp, nested into another comp, maybe one source comp like a lower third or color palette feeds several other compositions, maybe several compositions come together to feed one final comp. It can be really hard to search through this chain of comps, particularly if the person who built that hierarchy wasn't very good at naming or keeping things straight. Well, now we're back in After Effects, and along the top of the composition panel is this Comp Navigator. It shows you the name of the current comp that you're in, what comp is feeding it, and where that comp goes. If you don't see it, you can turn it on and off with Show Composition Navigator off of the options arrow here up in the corner. Also, note that you can make it flow right to left or left to right, depending on what makes sense to you. Now, one way to use it is you can just go ahead and click on these connected comps. This is a green screen shot that's feeding this master comp. This master comp feeds output for the web. Now, you don't always have a simple chain of one comp feeds another comp, feeds another comp. So there is this new thing called a Mini-Flowchart. There's a couple ways of opening the Mini-Flowchart. One is to click on the arrow to the right of the comp in this Composition Navigator. Now you get the full flowchart to show you everyone that's feeding into this composition and every comp that's being fed by your current composition. These arrows show when there's more things going on. Like I can keep going upstream here. So you have a station number, 2, going to a station ID bug. It goes into 2 different master composites for 2 different promo spots. And then that master composite feeds several different output chains. Really cool. The other way to bring it forward is just to tap the Shift key whenever you want. Wherever the mouse is where this mini flowchart will pop up. And again, if I want to switch to one of these comps, I just go ahead and click on them in the mini flowchart, and I'll be taken right there to that comp. And I'm back to my flowchart here where I see my number 2 feeds into my station ID bug, which feeds into my master composite, which feeds into my output, or I can go ahead and tap Shift and see what the real flow is here. Now the mini flowchart does come with some additional options. You can go ahead and decide whether or not things are put in the layer order they are in the composition or by alphabetical order. I prefer layer order myself because it reminds me how things are being composited. And also again, just like in the Composition Navigator, you can decide, do you want this mini flowchart to go from right to left or from left to right? Depends how you think. Personally, I always say my output's most important. Downstream is what's feeding my main output. I prefer the right to left flow. A simple click and the mini flowchart will go away. Now some of you may remember that in a prior version we got a new icon down here in the timeline panel which allowed us to jump from the current comp to the one that this comp fed. Well now that's been upgraded to be the Composition Mini Flowchart. Just go ahead and click on it and you'll get that mini flowchart display to see who is connected to who. Really handy. So again, here's another case of a feature that's not going to create a cool whizzy new graphic, but it is going to save you a lot of time, particularly when you open an old project or you open somebody else's project that you need to make changes to.